Alright, what is happening, everyone? And I'm back again with another roster building video, and this time I want to do a roster builder for a potential Capcom versus SNK 3. Now, we kind of all knew that this was coming. Ever since the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection was announced, we kind of all figured that a Capcom versus SNK collection or something like that would be announced, and lo and behold, very recently it was announced that we are getting the Capcom Fighting Collection 2, which will include Capcom vs. SNK and Capcom vs. SNK 2. And also with Terry coming to Street Fighter 6 soon, SNK and Capcom have seemed to have mended their relationship over the last several years. And so it's inevitable that eventually we are going to get a Capcom versus SNK 3, at least I think. Either that or maybe an SNK versus Capcom 2. Either way, though, I want to take a look at it from this angle, the Capcom versus SNK side. I guess this roster builder could kind of be applied to either. Like, if SNK were to make another one, I'd probably want it to be a relatively similar roster. Yeah, also, SVC Chaos was re-released recently as well. So, it's been an incredible time for fighting games. All of these things are happening so quickly, and it's awesome. A couple disclaimers before I start building this list. So, for those of you that don't know, the Capcom vs. SNK games, they kind of had this weird thing. I actually just looked at the rosters of both games to double check this. And they had this weird thing where even though it was called Capcom vs. SNK, it was literally just Street Fighter characters and Morrigan from Darkstalkers in both games on the Capcom side. And I thought that was really weird, so I want to address that with this because I really want, if there is to be a Capcom vs. SNK 3, I really would want it to feel like Capcom versus SNK and not Street Fighter versus SNK. With the SNK side of things, I'm pretty familiar with the King of Fighters and Fatal Fury characters for the most part. However, I'm not as familiar with some of their other game series. I know Metal Slug, of course. A lot of SNK games seem to be fighting games in general. I'm not really sure if they were missing a ton of characters from some of their other more niche game series, but I'm sure they probably were. In which case, tell me in the comments below who you'd like to see on the SNK side, or if I missed anyone. Alright, but without further ado, let's get into it. So, I'm going to do what I did last time and kind of do like a Capcom DLC, SNK DLC, like I did with my Marvel video. This time, however, I think what I'm going to do, instead of doing 25 and 25 on each side for the base roster, I'm going to kind of try to tone that down a little bit and make it a little more realistic, because I think even in my Marvel video, I made the roster size of the base roster, like, unrealistically big. I mean, even though I would love that. So I'm going to do 15 on each side to start, which I think even that is that's pretty big. Like, 30 character roster, that's still pretty big. But I'm going to do 15 and 15 for the base roster. And then this time, instead of just doing one season of DLC for each side, I'm going to do 3 seasons of DLC, 4 characters each, 2 characters on each side, Capcom and SNK, per season. But, alright, without further ado, for real this time, let's get into it. So, let's start off with the really easy mainstays again. We just gotta get them in there. Ryu, Chun-Li, yep, gotta have those two. And I'm gonna start with the Capcom side. Let's see. I don't want to have too many Street Fighter, as I said, because that's kind of the point. I don't want there to be an overabundance of Street Fighter. And we have less slots to work with this time, so I'm going to try to keep that in mind as well. Ken. I really want to do Ken. Yeah, I'll put Ken in. I'll do Sakura, because I don't think I put her in my Marvel list. When I did that, I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to do Bison. Not going to do Akuma this time, which kind of hurts my soul, but I want Ken to be in there because I did not put him in for the Marvel vs. Capcom 4 list that I made. I'm going to do Dan as well, and you might be wondering, why the hell am I putting Dan in? Well, when I get to the SNK side of things, I'll come back to that, and it'll make sense. Although, maybe I'll make Dan DLC. I don't know. We'll see. Because base roster, yeah, having those... Okay, you know what? Dan's DLC. Let's see. And I will get back to why I picked Dan specifically later. Morrigan, yep. Classic Darkstalkers rep. Gotta get her in there. Let's do Dimitri. You know what? Dimitri, this guy, he is like... I know Morgan is kind of like the face of Darkstalkers at this point, but Dimitri is like technically the main character, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's like the Dracula kind of character, and so he has never been in any of these versus games. Like, he hasn't been in Marvel versus Capcom. He hasn't been in Capcom versus SNK. Maybe he was in Tatsunoko versus Capcom. I'm not sure, but we're gonna get him in there. Let's show Dimitri some respect. Oh boy. Okay, let's do... I did John Talbane in MVC. Let's do Donovan. Donovan's pretty cool. And then we'll do... Oh, this is already 3 Darkstalkers characters. Okay. Oh, wow. We are already kind of cutting it down to the wire. So, I'm going to do something interesting here. I'm going to do Mega Man Volnut. And I'm also going to do... Oh, man. There's so many good characters we can pick from. Let's do Volnut. Let's also do... I'm going to do Leon. I'm also going to put in Dante, of course. And I'm also going to put in... It's tough. The limited slots are making this very tough. But we have a lot of extra DLC slots to work with, too. So that's good. We can get some of these other characters in there that maybe aren't making the base roster. So we have 4 left for Capcom. I think we have Dante in there. Let's get some other series representation in here. Monster Hunter, gotta do it. Gotta get Monster Hunter in there because it is their best-selling franchise of all time at this point. So, plus Monster Hunter is just such a cool idea for a fighting game character. Let's see. Captain Commando, yeah, some of the more obscure... Strider, I really want to put Strider in, but, he's never shown up in Capcom vs. SNK, and he's not even technically a Capcom character, right? The rights are owned by, like, a manga studio or something, and Capcom just gets the rights, like, they purchase the rights when they do a Marvel vs. Capcom game. I really want to put him in, and maybe I'll do him as DLC, but I think... you know what? No. Strider, just go in there. I don't even care. Strider's getting in. That'd be so sick. 2 more slots left. Let's do... Regina. Apparently everyone wants Dino Crisis to come back, so Regina would be pretty cool. Let's do, let's do Edward Falcon from Power Stone. And then let's also do... Okay. I have no idea where Daigo is from. I genuinely have no idea. I know Daigo, like, the Street Fighter / FGC Pro. I know who that is, but I don't know who this Daigo character is. So, that... kind of just threw him in here as a major contender. There's more. There's a lot of characters in here, but I just set this up so that I moved, like, all of the major contenders in my eyes towards the top, so it'd be easier to grab them. Let's see. I really want to do another Devil May Cry or Resident Evil character, but there's so much. It's like Street Fighter, Sakura's rival schools technically, but oh my god. And Darkstalkers. Yeah, let's let's get rid of... I don't want to get rid of anyone. Okay. Last slot for base roster of Capcom. There's like... Is Bison the only villain? Or is Dimitri the villain? I don't know. To balance it out, let's put in... Let's put Sigma in. Why not? Just because. Alright, so... Moving on to... I know I put Dan in the DLC, but let's actually go to the SNK side, and then we'll do DLCs. So let's get all the big mainstays in there. Terry, Rock, of course, gotta have them in there. Just too iconic of characters. They need to be in the game. Oh, let's not forget Mai Shiranui. No Mai, no buy. So if people are gonna buy this game, Mai has got to be in the game. Kyo, Mr. KOF, gotta have him. Iori, Kyo's rival. I think he is 100% worthy of being in there. Athena, yes, let's get her in there. Another big mainstay in KOF, in my opinion. Let's do Haramuru from Samsho. He should definitely be in there. Oh, Geese Howard, of course, gotta have Geese. I think let's also do Rugal as well. I think those are two big villains that should just be in there. Elizabeth. Okay, I want Elizabeth. I'm putting Elizabeth in there. I think Elizabeth is an awesome character from the KOF games, so get in there, Elizabeth. Rio. Let's do it. Art of Fighting. And he's also shown up in King of Fighters, of course. Let's do Shermie as well. He's one of the people that can like channel Orochi, and she's like a grappler and just kind of an overall popular character, so I think she should be in there too. Let's do Marco. Oh, why does it keep grabbing characters from like... Okay, I did not pick Alexia Ashford. Alright, Marco from Metal Slug. Mr. Metal Slug is like the main character of Metal Slug, as far as I know. Anyways, correct me if I'm wrong about that, but let's get him in there. Last two slots, okay, what kind of... I think we got a lot of the big mainstays in here. Blue Mary would be cool. Tizok / Dinosaur. I would prefer Tizok over King of Dinosaurs. It's the same character, but like I would prefer that design. Benimaru. Ooh, Benimaru is a cool character. Leona. Let's do Leona. She can be like the military representative of that faction of the KOF characters. We'll do... I think for the last base roster character, we will do... Oh boy. This is a tough one. Let's do... I put like just a random kid. I mean, Edward Falcon, like Power Stone, I only just heard of Power Stone when they announced the collection. Or like I had heard the name before, but I'd never seen gameplay. So Captain Kidd, I assume he's from some very obscure SNK game. Let's put him in there. Why not? In the base roster. He can be like the counterpart to Edward Falcon. Alright. So, moving on to the DLC. So I put Dan in. And let me just show you why I put Dan in now. Here's why I put Dan in. Because Shingo and Dan are like the perfect counterparts to each other. They're both like joke characters that, you know, are trying to like emulate the style of people they look up to. Shingo is like a super fan of Kyo, so I just think that that's like a perfect matchup. So that's why I did that. So yeah, DLC Pack 1, 2 characters on each side. So for Dan, let's see, what's a character that we're missing from this base roster? I think we already have 3 Darkstalkers, we got 2 Mega Man, we got 1 Resident Evil, 1 Devil May Cry. Let's do... there's also like a lot of other good Street Fighter characters that we could put in. Oh, like Cammy's not in there. Akuma. Zero. Oh man, Zero. We did Mega Man Classic in the MVC roster builder video. So I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna throw a little curveball in here. I'm gonna put in Proto Man. He's kind of like the original Mega Man equivalent to Zero. So I think that'd be pretty cool. He's never been in any of these Versus games. Let's get him in there. And then on the SNK side, back to that, I think we should put in, who would be like a fun kind of character? Because we got Shingo that kind of matches up, and then Proto Man. I don't know if there's a character that matches up with Proto Man. Maybe like I'll do Bijane. Bijane, everyone loves Bijane, and she's kind of a staple of the newer Fatal Fury games, and she was in KOF 15, kind of like a friend of Rock Howard's, just like Proto Man is a friend / rival to Mega Man. Bijane not really a rival, or maybe she is a little bit of a rival, but I think that's a good pick. So, alright, moving on to DLC Pack 2, or Year 2, Season 2, whatever. On the Capcom side of things, let's do... Still want to try to avoid Street Fighter as much as I can for now, because there's already so many of them in the base roster. Let's do... want to do either a Resident Evil, or let's do Virgil. Get in here, Virgil. And then for the other character, let's try to throw another like unique one, just kind of curveball character in there. Gina, Beautiful Joe, Asura. Let's do Amaterasu. Come on, who doesn't like Amaterasu? Who doesn't like Okami? I still gotta play that game. But who doesn't like it? I know everyone loves it. I should really play it. So that's the Capcom side. Let's see, how can we kind of do something similar on the SNK side of things? Let's put in this guy. Okay, yep, Genjiro. He's kind of like, I think he's a bad guy, I'm not sure, but he, I believe, is from the Sam Show games, and I played as him in SVC Chaos on the re-release, and oh my god, this character is sick. So, get him in there. As for the next one, who's like a just kind of out-of-pocket pick? I don't know who this Gimlet character or this Airy character is or are, but I really like their designs. They kind of look like they're from Metal Slug, but I'm not sure if they actually are. Yeah, you know what, why not? Let's put Gimlet in. He looks cool. Someone in the comments let me know what he's from. Moving on to Season 3, the final season. And who knows, they could probably do more seasons. But, okay. Okay, this is where some really tough decisions are going to have to be made. So, on the Capcom side of things, how is it looking? How's the stack looking? We got like basically 5 Street Fighter characters, with Sakura being rival schools technically. We got 3 Darkstalkers, 2 Mega Man, 1 Resident Evil, 1 Devil May Cry, one, you know, the kind of more obscure-ish characters. Let's do... Okay, I just had an idea for this last part. Let's do no more Street Fighter characters. I think that's going to be the most... As much as I want to put in, like, Akuma or even Aki, and especially, like, Cammy, I think we're going to hold off. No more Darkstalkers characters either. I think I gotta go with some more of the out there characters for these last 2, or maybe not all of the out there characters. Let's do oh my god, I almost want to add a 4th season of DLC because I feel like it would balance it out a bit better, potentially at least, especially because there's only 2 characters per side. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to add the 3rd season of DLC, and if I feel like I'm not satisfied, I'm gonna add another season of DLC, because why not? Why not? But for now, let's get another Resident Evil character. Let's do Krauser. Why not? Krauser from Resident Evil 4. I think he could have a really cool and fun moveset. Let's do... Although Wesker. Ooh, not doing Wesker, so that's a tough one. But let's also put in... Let's do another Power Stone character. Wang Tang from Power Stone. That's a hilarious name for a character. But he looked cool. I saw footage of him in Power Stone 2. He looks really cool. So... And then... on the SNK side, let's get like another villain. So Gonitz, I do like Gonitz. Yeah, let's do Gonitz. Why not? Gonitz can get in there, and then we will put in for our kind of there's a good counter to Wang Tang. Another kind of out there character. So Earthquake or maybe Airy seem kind of like out there characters, kind of. The other ones are a little more standard. You know what? Actually, no. Let's do this guy, Hokotomaru, because and actually, you know what? Captain Kid. Let's get Captain Kid out of here. I'm sorry, He's got to go, because I just realized Hokotomaru is a ninja that's kind of reminiscent of Strider. So I think he's actually a pretty good counterpart for Strider on the SNK side. So I'm going to put him in there. He's also just a really cool character from Garo, Mark of the Wolves. So instead of doing him as DLC, I'm not going to put Captain Kid back. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to put Captain Kid back as DLC instead. I don't know how hyped that would get people, and DLC are, you know, generally supposed to hype you up, but let's do that. So looking at this again, we have 21 characters on each side, so that's a 42 character roster total. Let's do, you know what, why not? Let's add in a fourth season, a fourth year of DLC, because why not? So, on the Capcom side of things, I want to do another Resident Evil character, but then there's also, like, all these other games that aren't represented, like the older ones. And even something a little more modern, like Dead Rising, is not in there. I don't know, I feel like Dead Rising works a little better in Marvel vs. Capcom, but I shouldn't really... That's kind of the point of this list, is to kind of take Capcom vs. SNK and make it a little more open to other characters and series, given the history of the first two games, with being all Street Fighter plus Morrigan on the Capcom side. So, trying to keep it a little more open. The problem is like, on the SNK side, there's not as many, like, characters that are, like, there's no, like, Amaterasu equivalent, per se, on the SNK side, as far as I know. Like, there's not really an equivalent to, like, Beautiful Joe, or Arthur, or Asura, or Phoenix Wright, that I know of. Maybe I'm wrong. So, I have to keep that in mind, too. Let's do... I actually don't know what Akira is from. I know this character was in Street Fighter V. I'm not sure if she's, like, a rival school's characters or what, but... I don't think I'll do Akira. I feel like I gotta do another Resident Evil character. Like... Actually, wait. No. I have Jack Krauser. What am I talking about? So, no. Not gonna do another Resident Evil character. Let's do... Oh, this is really tough. This is... I want to do Nero so badly, but I also want to do, like, Zero or Cammy or Akuma very badly. But then there's all these other characters. Okay. Regina from Dino Crisis. Whoops. Here, there we go. Regina from Dino Crisis. Why not? Let's do Jin from Cyberbots. I think I put Hayato in the Marvel vs. Capcom list, so And Hayato is from... that's the other thing I found out. In that video, I was like, oh, Hayato, isn't he from Cyberbots? No. He's from Plasma Sword / Star Gladiator, which was like a 3D fighter. And it's going to be in the collection, in the Capcom Fighting Collection too, which is really cool. Plasma Sword is. But yeah, so Jin, let's get him in here. And then on the SNK side of things... let's do Eri, another character who I don't know what they're from, but the design stuck out to me. And then let's also, for the last slot, oh boy, ooh, let's put in, let's do, no. This is, oh man, I don't... Earthquake? I think Earthquake is from Sam Show, but not Nakaruru's also from Sam Show. What do we got? We have... Okay, we already have 2 Sam Show characters between the base game and DLC. How about... It's just tough because like none of these characters that I'm looking at would seem like they would be like incredibly hype. I don't know. The ones that I'm really looking at are like Shenwu, Duolon, Yamazaki, Gato, Hotaru. What's a good counter to Jin too? That's the other tough part. You know what? Why not? Let's do Shenwu. He seems cool. I know he's in KOF 15. I haven't really played as him much. He's one of the more recent DLC characters. But yeah, I think 4 DLC seasons seems good. Like I'm so tempted to add another one, but I don't want to just keep adding them because we got to stop somewhere. So this is my final list of what I would want a Capcom versus SNK 3 roster to look like. Trying to throw some curveballs in there, but also trying to throw some big mainstay staple characters, not just of the series, because as I mentioned, the previous 2 games were literally just Street Fighter characters plus Morrigan on the Capcom side. But still trying to keep like a good amount of the popular characters in there from various different series, while also throwing some characters that are like more obscure and even some that I haven't heard of on the SNK side. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really appreciate if you like and subscribe and do all the things. Let me know what you think of this list. Let me know what characters you'd want to see or which ones you'd switch out from my list. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.